What's up, everybody? What's up, Nate? Yeah, definitely get your Jaguar, man. What's up, Claudius? So who all has a 4-string on here, just by a show of hands? If you do have a 4-string, what 4-string bass do you have, or what 4-string basses do you have? Good morning. What's on the menu, Melvin? Y'all tell me, man. I normally give a topic, but I want to hear from y'all today. What are y'all dealing with? I have a Hartke 500 amp head. I play off now. I want a smaller. Yeah, what are your suggestions? Hartke 5500. I'm not sure if I'm even familiar with that amp. That's an interesting one. If you want a smaller one, man, there are several options now on a lot of the stuff. You know, I've been kind of rocking this TC stuff for years, and this stuff has really come down in price, mainly because the company has sold to a different owner. But yeah, the stuff that I'm playing on now has come way down in price. Like this RH750, you could try it out. The RH750 or any of the RH series stuff is really nice. It's like there's a 450, I think, as well. That's a pretty solid amp head. They have the BH, and I'm calling out the TC stuff, obviously, because that's what I've been most familiar with. However, there are some other things I've been looking at lately I won't mention just yet. But yeah, some of the TC stuff, any of that stuff, man, it's pretty solid equipment. And they brought the price range down. Well, they brought the price point down quite a bit lately over the last 2 years. So you could find some pretty good deals if you look on like online or some of these different stores or something like that. What's up, man? Martin's 5 string. I don't have a 4 string. All good. If I have a 4 string, that's cool. Looking to get in the 4 string. I was gonna kind of make this about 4 string, but I didn't know if I wanted to spend the whole time talking about 4 string. I was gonna kind of go back and forth between the different options of having different string basses. Because if you look on social media, like especially Facebook, on a lot of the I don't know if any of you guys follow Bass Players United or any of those bass player, like Bass Musician Magazine. Every now and again, you'll have it come up to where there's a topic. Somebody is talking about 4 string. Jocko only needed 4 strings, and then an argument goes like with the 4 versus 5 versus 6 versus on up, you know. And I try not to. I try to be careful of what I say in terms of people having beyond 6 strings, you know, even extended range basses. I know there are some that go up to 12, and I recently seen a video to where one went up to like 24, I think, and to me, that's a ridiculous amount of strings. However, on the other hand, if that's what the player wants, hey, who am I? That's just my opinion. And I think so many times we can put our opinion on other people. Can't think of the word I'm trying to come up with right now, but we can kind of superimpose our opinion on everybody else because that's what our preference is. And that's just not the way it is, man. You just have to kind of let people be who they are, because I would have never found myself and found my own sound had I, been stuck with one way, that kind of thing, or stuck with somebody else's opinion of what it should be as a bass player. You should own a Fender and you should only play a Fender. It's like, but you're limiting me because I hear other things and I don't get that out of a Fender. I need more than, I need more than 22 frets. I need, 24. There's some other things I want to do. So it's like, it's up to the individual, in my opinion. I'm not really trying to get that argument started this morning because I know some of you guys feel really strong about 4 strings and no more. I need a 4 string to stop confusing my beginner student. Now, that's really another reason why I wanted to get one, especially for my beginner bass lessons. The 4 string does help at the beginning stage with the confusion for some people because it's a lot. For me, it wasn't a big deal, but for some people, that 5th string throws you off. But to me, I'm like, it's just an extra string. But everybody don't process like you, so that's something you have to be mindful of. That's another reason why I started tuning my bass back standard when I normally naturally play tuned flat. I started tuning down because I noticed in my lessons early on, if you guys watch some of my earlier lessons, they would always be a half step off, and that confused a lot of people. It didn't confuse me. It took me a while to figure out how to do both, because it was confusing at first. Even when I went from tuning standard to tuning flat, that was very scary for me to go flat as opposed to being standard, because that was something I was afraid I was going to be playing a song, I was going to forget where I was and mess up. So to be able to learn how to do both in either setting, it was something that ended up being a benefit to me. So a lot of times the things that we're counting as you don't need all, or I don't take all of that, can end up being a benefit to us in the long run. Just my opinion on that matter. Let me see some of you guys comment. AJ Morganstead, man, from South Carolina. Once again, thanks for what you do for us in the bass community. You're welcome, man. I have to go to work. Man, thank you, Stedman, if you're still on here. Look into it. Yeah, them amp heads and amp cabinets, man, that stuff will wear your back out after a while. And it sounds good, but after a while, it's rough on your back. So you want to make sure you're thinking long term. Melvin, I see you. 4 and 5. Oh, you said I want David's 24 string bass just because. Yeah, man, Davey, that dude he's a monster, man. I have no interest in playing a 24 string bass, but more power to the people who do. Let's see, I have a Lotus 4 and a Yamaha 5. Cool, Melvin. Yep. Yep, it definitely affects your playing. And I'll talk to not to interrupt, but good morning. Good morning, Gabish Lee, Mr. P Dash. What travel amp do you use? It's pretty much my 750. RH 750 is my go-to right now. If you guys can see that in the back, that's my go-to rig right now. That's an RH 750, and then I have 412s back there. Two cabinets, two 12 cabinets that I have by TC, K212 cabinets. That's pretty much my go-to rig at the current moment. Like I say, I'm exploring some other options right now, but what options that is, I will not disclose right now. We'll find that out sooner or later. But for now, I'm still rocking my TC stuff. I've been rocking TC for years, at least 6 years. At least 6 years, I want to say, for sure. Really like your 5-string bass. I have a Fender Jazz bass. I appreciate that, man. So the advantages and disadvantages, if some of you guys needed a topic for today, advantages and disadvantages of different strings, different numbers of strings. Let me read these comments before I get into that. I have 6 strings for church event and 4 strings for my rehearsals. People know me to be a 6-string bass player, but I use my 4-string. Yeah. Hi, Jermaine. Could you recommend any particular books, artists, music to listen to? There's many. Thanks you. I have been introduced to more music, gospel music. Call me a beginner. Okay. Let me see here. Stage. Make them feel like I don't know what I'm doing. I'm trying to make sure I put that together. Okay, you said you use that on stage. Will that make them feel like I don't know what I'm doing? If I use my... No, I don't think... I'm trying to answer all these questions as they come. I don't think using your 4-string on stage, as long as you're confident in your delivery, it shouldn't feel any different. You have to learn how to create substitutes. Like where, for me, when I was playing, I don't like to play, especially when I'm playing gospel stuff, because it relies so heavily on that low B string. I don't like to play my 4-string often in a gospel setting unless I know the song list and unless I know I can kind of get away with it, because me personally, I miss that low end. I miss that low B string when I'm playing in a gospel setting. But some kind of ways I've learned to work around that using a 4-string in a gospel setting, because Thaddeus Tribbett proved to everybody that you can do that with no problem. Play a 4-string on any song and murder the song with no problem. If any of you guys don't know who Thaddeus Tribbett is, if you ever heard of Ty Tribbett and GA, that's Thaddeus Tribbett on bass, like the old stuff. If you go back and check out all the Ty Tribbett's older albums, all the way up through, I want to say through Victory, that's Thaddeus Tribbett on the bass. His brother, phenomenal bass player, and he did most of all that stuff, if not all of it, on a 4-string bass. But one of the things I even picked up from him is to get that low sound, that low B sound, where we got here. Let me see, I'm hearing a little wave. Okay, cool. So one of the things, and I'm gonna get to that question in just a second. So one of the things I noticed that he would do, like when he wanted to play like the lower notes that he didn't have on the 4-string, he would double up and play the 5th. You see how that changed the sound? It created an octaver effect. You still have that 5, like we're in the key of E. So if I wanted to go to that 5, on a 4-string, my 5 would naturally sound like that. But if I wanted to meet it up a little bit, I can go... You see what I'm saying? I just added that 5th in there. Versus thicker. And it's just basically playing a power chord. So let me go back to some questions that I had there. I have 3 5-strings and 1 6. I would like to take my 6-string and tune it F sharp, B, A, D. Okay, that's different. Go for it. Long as you know what it means, go for it. But yeah, that's a different type of tuning. I got you though. But if that's something that you want to explore, go for it. You won't ever know until you try it. As long as you don't try it before a gig and you haven't practiced with it, that's all. That's my only concern to you. Christopher says, "Hi Jermaine, watching from France. What's up, man? I'm expecting you can handle also the topic we've talked last time. Use diminished scale soloing without for yeah. I looked at your question and I'll touch briefly on that. Just show a couple of ways that you can kind of use that. And before I just speed past that question, so one of the ways I would use, just say if we were in the key of E. One of the things about the diminished, there are several ways you can use it, almost an infinite amount of ways that you can use it. But one of the most common ways is heard like when you're playing in a minor. You know what I'm saying? Like, so if we're in E minor, like that 3, not the 3, I'm sorry, the 5, that dominant, over the dominant, we could use the diminished there. Like if we're playing in E minor, we go to that B dominant, or so the way I could use that diminished there, you know what I'm saying? That's a really basic way of looking at it, but if we're over that 5, back to that 1. Like what's the blue bossa? Let's do it in a different key. I can find an open loop here. I got so many loops on this pedal. Come on, give me a channel. There we go. All right, so I'll demonstrate over like blue bossa to give you an idea. So we'll stop there. So like over that 5, so there. So it's like you can play variations of that diminished scale. So we got that basically in that chord, you hear those chord tones. Over that 5, you see what I'm saying? Good morning. I hope that you family doing great. Good morning, Oscar. I'll get to your question in just a second. So I don't want to forget because my guy asked this. Chris asked this on last week, so I wanted to make sure I kind of addressed this question. But that's just one way of kind of using it over that 5 position because you can hear the notes of that diminished scale in that 5 chord. there are different variations. I've talked about this in other lessons of how to use that diminished pattern. All I'm doing there. And so we got that 5, but to create the diminish, I can go half a step up. Back down. I'm taking that pattern and I'm repeating that pattern. And so basically you can use it over that minor progression. Now, if you want to use it over something that's more dominant, you can play it over the 1. You would just start it on the flat 5. Okay, so I'll demonstrate. That's random. You guys seen that, right? Wait for my power. Let me catch a little of these comments while I'm waiting on this to come back up. Let me know, somebody let me know if you can hear me. Give me a thumbs up or back connected before I start back talking or something in the comments. I want to make sure that we're G-Spot is wow, yeah. We had a little power outage here for a second. I don't know if we got bad weather coming in or something like that, but we had a little power surge or something happened just now. So let me know if you can hear it. Okay. I'm cutting out bad. What about now? Can you guys hear me now? I want to make sure everybody got me. All right, let's see what we got. I think I lost some people because of the disconnection. I'm going to go back through your comments and see what I missed. Good morning to everybody jumping on. All right. Hi from friends. Okay. All right. I was on Christopher D's question. David Cunningham said, David from Florida, good morning. Love your lessons and appreciate all the lessons you put on here. I played 4 and 5 and 6 strings, but the first bass I own was 6 string suite. P-Dash, are there any obscure basses out there that surprise you like Schecter or Ibanez? Probably Ibanez. Ibanez always, it seems like Ibanez always have one in the chamber that is kind of unexpected. You pick it up and it's just crazy. What's up, Callie? All right, the video is choppy. What about now? Is it clearing up any? I apologize for that. That came out of nowhere. Go back. I'm trying to catch these questions. Yeah, the obvious probably shocked me the most. Right offhand, I can't think of any other basses right off the top of my head. Schecter, I can't really honestly say with Schecter because I haven't spent enough time with those basses. I'm not gonna say that they're not great or they don't have some great ones. I just personally haven't spent enough time with them. I'm a loyalist to the most part. Once I find something I like, I kind of stick with it, and I like more the boutique basses. not just because of the price range, because I'm kind of cheap, just be honest with y'all. I don't like spending money. So it ain't that, oh, he likes to spend all this money on. Well, it's nothing, nowhere close to that. It's just for what I like to do and the type of sound I like to hear. I'm more of a fan of some of, not all of, boutique basses. I hear a lot of those tones and it kind of resonates with me as opposed to some of the standard type basses. Like for instance, Serene makes a killer bass, basses rather, and I've heard, you know what I'm saying? I've heard some Serenes that have just blown my mind, as well as some Ken Smith basses, as well as some Federa basses, and there's some other basses that I've heard, and there have been those some Federa basses that I was like, really? You know, that bass costs that much money, so they're hit and miss. All basses, you know, they have some hit and misses. I don't care how much they cost. It's hit and miss with all of them. So that's just my opinion there. Um, Let me go back. Trying to catch up, y'all. We had this little power surge. If you're just jumping on, we had a little power surge earlier. My power went out for some random reason here at my house. Uh, I don't know if we having bad weather out there or not. I haven't checked the weather this morning. Let's see here. Okay, all right. Are there any obscure bases like, okay, I got that one. Good morning. I hope you and your family are good. Have a quick question. Which pickups do you like most, passive or active? Why? I think I like more I'm not passive. I think I like more active simply because of a little bit more control. If I'm playing, depending on the genre of music, if I'm playing, I see it look like it's cutting out a little now. So I apologize for that again. But if I'm playing more soulful type stuff, I can deal with the passive bass. If it's more soul oriented, neo soul, old school stuff, like even if I'm just playing basically meat and potatoes bass line, where I'm just, you know what I'm saying? I'm just playing something very simple. I can deal with just passive bass. You can give me whatever you got. It can be a Walmart bass. As long as it plugs in, it don't buzz, I can play that and I'm cool. You know what I'm saying? But if I'm playing something and I'm expected to do my thing in terms of the soloing and be all over the bass type deal, I'd rather have an active set of pickups. That way I have more control over the preamp in terms of what's happening. Let's see here. All right. I'm not gonna repeat your name. I'm gonna just say good looking. That's what you got on here. Peter, there you go, Peter. Peter North. He said, old porns. Oh wow. He said, question, do you remember Jackson 5? Great guitar music. Yeah, I remember Jackson 5. Shout out to South Korea. What's up, South Korea? All your videos are amazing. What the best way to study the modes? Thank you in advance. The best way of studying the modes. I've done, I think, a good bit of videos concerning the modes. I'm gonna have to go in my YouTube channel and categorize just my mode studies alone. The last set of studies concerning the modes that I did was the quartet series. I like to say learning the modes, you know, what they're called and how they appear, and trying to take these things and use them in practical terms has been my best approach for learning the modes, because you guys know I'm very practical as it becomes to playing. I try not to make everything deep and spooky with anything I play. If I can use it in any song, I'm good with it. You know what I'm saying? Not just for solo, because I think a lot of times people learn the modes from the standpoint of using them in the context of a solo. And I'm like, as a bass player, I want to be able to use this anywhere. I want to take this and use it. I don't care how crazy it is. I want to figure out a way that I can incorporate it if I'm just playing a regular bass line. So taking a practical approach to the modes and figuring out how to implement it into anything I'm playing and not just the solo is, to me, the better way. Because if you can understand how to incorporate it into a normal bass line, the solo shouldn't be a problem. Once you get it under your hands and you really understand it, kind of just like playing the major scale. You know how to incorporate the major scale into a bass line. So once you're playing that bass line, it's nothing to pull out a major scale or a part of the major scale. The same thing with the mode. I see this is really choppy. It's annoying me, and I'm doing the video, so I don't know what's going on. Hopefully it'll clear up in just a second here. So yeah, that's me. I think a practical approach to the mode is the best way, in my opinion, to learn it. Let's see here. Man, I missed a lot of comments. As I understand, the blue boss says starting on the C minor 7, you are using a G7 chord for the diminished scale. Yep. So I'm building a chord there, the G7 chord. Okay. Pete, you're being a little. Let's see here. Yes, you can hear me. Okay. This was people responding to me asking, can I hear? Can you guys hear me? All right. Gary Lewis, I see you. I have a Fender from 1960s with a tag still on it. I heard it's worth over 100,000. That's great. You should definitely keep that bass and save it for bad times if you need to. Good morning. A little bit off subject, but what would you say playing 5-string P bass for gospel? I have a Fender American. Okay, 5, but does that? Yeah, it can still articulate for gospel. You'll be surprised. A lot of gospel cats swear by Fender bass. So with a P bass, you should be fine. I mean, if it has a great tone to it. And like I said earlier, guys, don't try to fit the status quo of what people say you should be doing. Like, find something that works for you. Find something that works for your sound, that works for your tone and what you're trying to do. And get it done. As long as you're playing the song, you sound great, you have a great tone, who cares what you're playing? If you're playing the music and it's articulating the way it needs to, who cares what bass you're playing? Just my opinion of it. It's at that point, it's just nitpicky stuff that people like to just say, you need to have this, you need to have that. At the end of the day, no one gets to decide that for you but you as the musician. As long as you're getting the gig and you're doing the work and you're nailing it, it doesn't matter what you're playing. Again, my opinion. Let's see here. Mr. P Dash, have you tried Sire basses? I haven't tried the Sire basses. I never tried them, but I'm interested in trying them out. The best bass player I ever heard was rock and roll called Metallica, different type of music, but still cool, man. We all got our favorites. Salt Lake, what's up, Salt Lake? Mario. Let's see here. In what situations do you only use a bridge pickup? For me personally, it depends on the song. You know, if I'm going for that, in the middle of a song that I want to go to a more funky sounding groove. You know what I'm saying? It could be in the middle of a song where I change the groove up, that I go back to that back pickup. So, you know, it's not necessarily situation based. It's depending on the song for me. Yep. Salt Lake City. Yep. Good morning, David. That's the hard part, finding the tone that fits the song. Absolutely. That is definitely the hard part. I think I got caught up on all of the questions. I think I did. If I missed a question, somebody please let me know. I think I was going to talk about, before the phone and the power started doing this weird stuff, I was going to talk about the other way of using that diminished that Chris asked about. The second way, it's not the only two ways, but the second way I was going to talk about is if you're grooving over like just the one. I'm in the key of A, by the way. You can use that diminished starting on the flat 5. Like this groove here, if I can find it again now that I've moved. So can hear, that groove is in the key of E. We're just grooving on the 1. So I could take that flat 5. You see what I'm saying? I could take that and build that diminished there. I'll show you in context. And all I did there, real quick, all I did, just use that dominant to get out, you know, like the pentatonic, minor pentatonic. You know what I'm saying? So using that flat 5 of E again. And you guys know what the flat 5 is, hopefully. So that 4 obviously is A, 5 is B, flat 5 is B flat. So we're using that B flat diminished. And I'm getting out of it with a minor pentatonic. Or we can use that where the lick I did, if you guys saw the video on this past weekend. We can just tie all of that stuff up together. You are using more arpeggio rather than the scale. Yep, definitely. Because, and the reason is because the thing about playing a lot of this stuff, and you notice if you've been around for a while, you know I'll always add some extra thing in there because I don't want it to sound robotic, or I don't want it to just sound elementary when I do it. Even though the way I teach it, a lot of times I simplify the approach to it because I want people to understand it, you know, just to. But I always try to give you guys a little something extra to take it away from that elementary sound so it can be more musical. That's the foundation of what it is I'm doing. You know what I'm saying? But once we add something in there, you know, just little stuff we start adding in there to make it feel a little different. And all I'm doing is adding one accidental in there going up. And then I have a pretty off basis. I don't even know how to describe it, the way I kind of approach certain stuff. I don't think about theory when I'm playing at all. I'm thinking about what I'm hearing and how it fits in the music and how I can get away with it, so to speak. So I'm not trying to think theory, I can do this diminished or that thing there. It's like a lot of the ways that I come up with stuff, I try it. You know what I'm saying? And then I go back and define it later. Okay, what was that I played? Yeah, okay, that's cool. I see how this works in that. Because if you try to go strictly by the rules all the time, well, I know I can play this diminished chord over this particular thing. You box yourself in and you won't try. You won't explore other ways that you can use the same thing all over the fretboard. If you're always just stuck to the rules, quote unquote. You got to think about theory. Most of the theory was written after the music to define what it is that people were playing. Especially people who are playing and have no clue to what it is they play. They're just playing music. They're playing what they hear, and other people are coming back behind them and defining, oh, this is what that is, basically, in my opinion. How do you learn to play with feeling? I'm taking lessons and have been told that can't be taught. As far as being taught, I can't teach you, or anyone else can't teach you how to play with feeling, but you can observe. Just kind of like how do you put it like this? How do you teach a human being to talk with feeling? A baby, when a baby learns to speak, because music is a language, right? And some people would like for you to believe that there's no way possible if you didn't have a natural gift for music or this, that, and the other. If you're learning to play, that's enough proof that you have the possibility to play with feeling as well. It's something that has to be learned through observation, through experience, and learning how to connect those observation and those experiences with your instrument. Um, a great way of doing that is with the music you listening to. Like a lot of the music that resonates with you, like listen to that music and how it makes you feel when you play it. And I don't know, a person, if you just need to mimic somebody, a great person I had the privilege of going to see perform recently, Eric Gales. If you guys don't know who that is, it's a phenomenal guitar player. Look him up, Eric Gales, Gales, Eric Gales. So look him up here on YouTube whenever you have time. But just seeing that guy play with so much feeling and connecting with the music, I'm sure that wasn't taught, but it comes from when you hear his story. He takes all of those life experiences and implements it into the music, and it has to do with your energy and your passion. If you basically what I was talking about just a minute ago, if you become a robot and just play stuff and just play the same stuff and just play all these different scales, it has nothing that connects with you as a person. It's just like a person that sits in a library all day long and read a lot of books, and that this person has infinite information, but when you talk to them, they sound like Ben Stein. It's just a lot of information, and it doesn't go anywhere. It doesn't connect with anybody. But if you have those human experiences and you interact with humans and you learn how to respond or be empathetic towards other people's feelings and other people's emotions, it makes you more aware when you talk to people. And if you learn to be observant of how people respond to you when you talk to them, now you can, a very selfish person, you don't notice anything about how people respond to you when you talk. So you can't adjust anything you're saying. You're just saying a whole bunch of stuff, probably offending a lot of people because you're not being aware of your surroundings and how people are actually responding to what you're saying. And so learning how does that, somebody might be asking, how does that coincide with playing with feeling? It's the exact same thing. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, anything you can look up of Eric Gales is going to be the same. I don't care what the song is. He plays with so much feeling. But the thing about it, in terms of speaking and talking with feeling, it's like you learn how to do that by talking and communicating with other people. The same thing with your music, not being so locked in with your instrument that you forget the people that you are somewhat entertaining or the people that you're trying to connect with. You see how people are responding to certain things and give them a smile. You know what I'm saying? Like, how does it make you feel when you're playing it? Are you happy when you plan it? So if you're happy when you're playing it, it's like, and we might be talking about two completely different things, because I know the other part of that whole feeling thing is having great feel. That's a completely different subject. And I'll try to touch on that just a little bit. But playing with feeling, meaning playing with passion and enjoying what it is you're doing, it's like you're not being, you know what I'm saying? You're not being a robot. Yep, Stephen. That's very good. Expression with passion will bring feel in your music. Yep. So it's just basically what's coming out of you when you're playing this stuff. Are you rehearsing and you're just, you know, are you just being a robot when you're practicing? Or are you practicing stuff that moves you? You know what I'm saying? It's a difference. I'm playing the exact same thing. I'm playing a basic scale. But if I had to present that scale, if that was the best I can do is as a scale, a major scale. I don't know all these licks. I don't know all these chops. But if my wife were sitting there and I wanted to show her, serenade her rather, because I don't want to wait 2 years to do that. Like, I don't want to wait till I get really good and serenade you. That's the idea. But if she said, if your wife, if you had a girlfriend, a significant other, whatever the case may be, because I know we have women on here as well. So if your significant other said, hey, yo, I want you to serenade me, like, show me what you've been playing, show me what you're working with. And so what are you going to do? It's like, you see, you just messed up there. But if you made it feel good, you can mess up and it still has a different thing to it. So now you put a little groove to it. And if you're into it, it's like before you know it, plan that little simple scale. Try it. If you don't believe me, try it. Plan that little simple scale and being into it and actually feeling what you're doing. Now the other person on the other side of you see that you're so into it. Before you know it, you look over at them and they're going like, they're nodding their head too, and they're enjoying what you're doing because you're enjoying what you're doing. So part of the feeling and the music, the key, the secret to it is enjoying what you're doing. And I think so many of us miss it as musicians because we're so busy. I'm guilty as well. We're so busy always being hard on ourselves, critiquing ourselves, and trying to get better, and always like, I messed up on this, I messed up on that we don't even enjoy the music. I posted something the other day. It was from an old lesson that I did. And it was talking about, it's a quote that Victor Wooten had. He said, if we're playing music, then we should be enjoying it. We should never be working. If it's called playing music, why are you working so hard? It's called playing. So we should be enjoying. You never heard a kid go outside playing and not enjoy themselves. They're not playing if they're not enjoying themselves. They're just outside. They're outside getting hot. My kids, they get ready to go outside. You hear them screaming, you hear them running around. They're doing everything, getting on your nerves half the time. But they are enjoying themselves playing. So why is it when it comes to this instrument and we start playing, it's so technical, and we think and we overcomplicate. We make music so difficult when it was made to be enjoyed. You have to enjoy it. So part of the feeling, it can't be taught. Just like nobody can teach you how to go outside and enjoy yourself. They can demonstrate it. And that's what we do with music. We can watch people, we can watch demonstrations of people who absolutely love what they do, and you can see it, and it comes across in their playing. Now let me say this. Everybody's level of excitement is different, because I see that's going around a lot now, where you have a lot of players talking about different people's passion based on what they're doing on stage. Then that's a bad way to measure it. Like, if a person looks calm and they're just in the moment, in the groove, they might not be jumping and bouncing around the stage and grinning from ear to ear. You can see all 32 of their teeth. But if they're enjoying themselves and they're having a good time and you feel it, they're playing with passion. They're playing with passion. And I think sometimes we can be a little difficult on people because everybody's not the same. Everybody's personality is not the same. Me personally, I have a very, very laid back personality. I'm very silly if you get to know me, but I have a very, very laid back personality. So I might be in the mode and I'm really enjoying what I'm playing, but my face doesn't necessarily show fully what I'm feeling because just my personality. I have to make myself sometimes smile, but it's not because I'm not happy. It's just I'm more into like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm in it and I'm completely enjoying what I'm doing, but my face might have a frown on it, or this kind of thing, where somebody else might be playing. We all have different types of expressions, and your facial expression is not an indication of whether you're enjoying it or whether you're feeling it or not. Because you take a Pino Palladino, Pino's face is like he's blank, but you can tell by the way he's rocking that head that Pino is completely enjoying what it is he's doing. But his face is like just straight face. He got a poker face. You know what I'm saying? So just some things to think about. I see I missed some comments and we're nearing the hour here. Let me go back and check out some of these comments that you guys have been saying. Um, let's see here. All right, so Kelvin, I think I stopped at you. How do you learn to play with feeling? Okay, yep, I got your question. You're right. When you play, you need to play, but before playing, you need to think theoretical. Hold on, let me make sure I read that right. You're right. When you play. But before playing, you need to think theoretical. Yeah, in your practice time, you can think theoretical, if that's what you mean, Chris. In your practice time, definitely spend that time being theoretical. But when it comes time to hit the stage, or when it comes time to hit the church, wherever you are, it's time to execute. The theory stuff is there, but it shouldn't be at the forefront of your mind when it comes time to play. All that stuff should be, everything you learn should go out of the window. If it's not in your muscle memory, don't worry about it at this point. You just want to enjoy it. Make sure you've learned that song now, because if you don't know the music, yeah, you're gonna have to think theoretical to try to get through the gig. But if you know the music and you spent the time, you've had the opportunity to really prepare, yeah, throw all that stuff out of the window and just enjoy yourself. That's my opinion. Let's see here. All right, let's so Steven says, well put, thank you. William Gamble, good morning. When learning to solo through chord changes, do you only focus on the key of the song or each chord in the progression? Each chord. If I can hear and understand the chord, at least understand the function of the chord. Like I would, for a long time, I wouldn't solo through chord progressions. I just pick whatever the key of the song is. I just rock out there. So if the song is doing, like we were playing Blue Bossa earlier, I would not solo over all those changes. Like I would just, I would just stay in that one box position instead of, you know what I'm saying? So I would, at first I would stay in that box position, but as I got familiar with what the chords were, just by listening, is if I got the root and I know, like, okay, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm sorry, if I know what, I completely lost my train of thought. If I know what the chords are doing, I know the mode in terms of like it's minor. I know what my 4 is gonna be. I know what my 2 is gonna be, and I know what all those different chords are going to be. So it helps me to navigate around those chords. I might not know exactly all of the chords, but at least I have a foundation for where they're going and what they sound like, kind of. You know what I'm saying? Because sometimes you're in a musical situation that you don't know every note of the chord. But if you have a basic idea of the structure of how it's moving, you can kind of spend time with that. So to answer that question, just kind of having an idea of where the chords are going gives you more to work with when you start the solo. All right, I'm trying to get through all these questions before it's time to jump off. All right, I teach myself how to play music. Sweet, Robbie. Well, yep, always a half step away. What if you don't know which instrument to use? What if we don't know which instruments to use? Robbie, what do you mean? I think I missed. You might have responded to something I was saying earlier. But thank you. That helps greatly. I play like a robot, all the notes the same in length. I'm still working on it, even at this level of my playing, and being more expressive and being more into what I'm doing. After hearing Eric, Bassman, thank you. After hearing Eric Gales the other day, it made me feel like I need to start all the way over from square one, because to see how that guy was into every phrase that he played. I've never seen anybody play in a way that it made them excited. Like they play something so good, it ain't the audience going woo. They going woo themselves because they play something. And that's what I experienced hearing him, man. And it's like he rightfully so, because what he played was just amazing. And he's like, woo! I'm like, yeah, man, that's what I was saying. So yeah, it's one of those things, man. I definitely have to work on myself. So peace and blessings from Williamsburg, Virginia. First time live with you, man. Thank you for being here. Enjoy your vibe on bass, man. Thank you so much, man. To God be the glory. Now you are coursing with the diminished scale. Let's see here. Thanks, been teaching myself a while, learning from you and Adam Nitty as well. That's definitely helping. Man, that's cool. Adam Nitty is definitely a phenomenal player. So let me see. Have I got everybody's question? I think I'm back up to speed on all the questions. But yeah, playing through those chord changes. And we've talked about today using diminished. We talked about chord changes, and we've talked about four versus 5, 6, and other strings. The option that I don't know if I ever got to it, but one of the things about playing the 4-string versus playing the 6-string, because I mentioned the fact that you can kind of create that power chord to give you a lower sound instead of. We talked about that, but the other option or the other advantage that I have when I move to the 4-string, it forces me to think outside, whereas my 6-string, I can kind of have everything right there at my fingertips that I can keep going down, in this box position. You know what I'm saying? That 4-string forces you to know that fretboard, to really know it, to get around the fretboard and to find other ways of doing things, to be more creative, in my opinion. That's the positive of having a 4-string, especially if you're trying to learn to solo, do improvisation. That 4-string forces you to get around the bass and learn other options. Whereas a 6-string, I'm not talking about 4 versus 5, because that's very little difference. You just have the option of the low B string. But when you have the 6-string versus a 4-string and you're trying to solo, 6-string, once you get comfortable with 6-string, it can make you not have to work as hard because everything is there. Only hard work is learning how to play it. But once you learn how to play it, it's like, okay, it makes the soloing process, because you can just flow. If you have a lot of information, you can just flow on a 6-string. Whereas a 4-string, the flow is a little restricted because you can only go down so far before you having to jump, to these different frets, You know what I'm saying? You're having to jump around when it comes to the 4-string. You know what I'm saying? You got to jump around a little bit more on the 4-string. So that's one of the advantages of having a 4-string to practice on. It forces you to learn and become more comfortable with the neck of the bass. That's why I have it out now, because I feel like I need to go back and brush up and just kind of get more comfortable around my neck. Not that I don't know it, it's just I could be better at it. You know what I'm saying? Just being honest with myself as a player. There's some things on here I could be a little bit better at. So of course you want to always push those limits, push those boundaries when it comes to those type of things. Let's see here. You're really good at that bass. Keep it up. Thank you, Robbie. Appreciate that. Hey man, do you you said, do I have a car? Yeah, I got a couple of cars. I'm thinking you're going somewhere with that. I'm gonna wait for the other response. But yeah, I do have a car. Ah. Let's see here. Camera is moving. All right, guys. So that's pretty much it for today, man. I wanted to just get on here and talk to you guys again. And remember, if you have any subjects that you want me to cover or some things that you want to talk about, be sure to send me an email or send me not an email, but a direct message either here on YouTube. You can send it to me on Facebook, Jermaine Morgan on Facebook. I have 2 pages, and my artist page, you can follow that page. My other page is full. So if you want to send it to my artist page, Jermaine Morgan on Facebook, I got a bass in my hand, so it should be pretty easy to find. Or if you want to follow me on Twitter, it's J Morgan Bass. If you want to follow me on Instagram, it's J Morgan Bass. Excuse me. No underscores, all one word, J Morgan Bass. So follow me there on any of those outlets. I've been teaching myself to read music, and you are a great inspiration with helping with the man. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. So, how do you continue practicing when you feel like you ain't growing anymore? Just keep going. That's part of the process. I had to learn that the hard way. You have to keep going. Most of the time, when you feel like you're not growing, that's when you're making the most progress. I know that seems like an oxymoron, but that's really when you're making more progress than you know. So you have to fight through that mental. It's a mental thing that happens there, because it's kind of like when you start going to the gym, or if any of you guys ever started going to the gym. I don't want to use the opposite of that when you start putting on weight. So we'll use going to the gym. Like, you can be working out and going hard, and to you, you don't feel like you're seeing any results until you run into somebody that you haven't seen in maybe a few years or something like that, and they're like, man, you kind of getting a little buff, ain't you? And what does that do for you? As soon as you hear that, it's like, all right, they notice that I'm putting on a little pounds, I'm putting on a little muscle, so I'm gonna get back in this gym, and I'm start pumping it up. To share the sentiment of Bill with us, have a lovely day. Same to you, man. So, you know what I'm saying? You hit the gym and you start pumping it back up because somebody boosted your confidence. But you have to learn how to be that for yourself. You have to learn how to look in the mirror, or you have to learn how to listen to yourself, be critical, or take your phone out and record yourself. Now, I encourage all of you to do this. Matter of fact, this is my challenge to everybody on here watching today. My challenge to you today is, when you get home, if you're at home already, take your phone out. After this is over with, of course. Record yourself playing something, whatever your chop is, whatever your best chop is. Record yourself playing that, save it somewhere, and in about 2-3 months later, record yourself playing something similar, but opening and expressing a little bit more, and compare the 2 videos. And you'll see for yourself how much you've grown. If they sound exactly the same, fine, then you can feel comfortable and confident, and man, I ain't growing, I ain't going nowhere. But if you sound completely different in 2 months, and you've been putting in the time than you did 2 months ago, you're making progress. It's just hard to see from your own vantage point. You have to change the perspective, have to change what you say about yourself, and keep pushing through the hard times of you playing. We all go through that point in our playing where we think we suck. We don't think we sound as good as we need to sound. It's something we need to work on. I feel like I'm not getting it. It's a normal thing. It's normal in the growth process. So don't get discouraged by it. Let it be motivation for you. I got to dig in a little deeper. You know what I'm saying? So, thank you, Martins. Acanimo. Is that how you say it? I'm tossing between a 5-string bass and keyboard. Do you play multiple instruments? Absolutely. And I'm in a season right now where I'm having to get back on the guitar. I'm not having to do it, but I'm pushing myself to practice more on guitar, because there are things I hear in my head and I'm not doing them as fluently as I would like to on guitar. So yeah, I do play. Don't toss between them. Just figure out a way to divide your time up where you can spend time on one and spend time on the other, but don't ever push one of them all the way to the side. Figure out a time each week to get and spend some time on that other instrument, like just a little bit of time, and find time to enjoy it. Find time to enjoy it, and then find time to be hard on yourself where you're saying, no, you need to work on that. You're struggling with that. You need to work on that, and make yourself work through it, and you'll see the progress. It's going to be a little progress more than likely, but if you do it, because the older we get, it's like the harder it is for us to learn stuff, but it's not impossible. So if you spend a little time each day or each week on these different things, these little fundamental things that you need to work on, the things that we put off, we think we got it, but it's really not that sweet, like scales on the piano. When I play piano, like sometimes I'll start working on my scales and it's like, man, I'm really not that sweet when it comes to speed and getting through all these keys with these scales. It's like I really need to work on that. So those things that you know you need to work on, don't disregard them. Make sure you're putting in the time and work on those different things. So let's see here. Next topic suggestion: choose the right note to the chord changes. Be sure to send that to me. Wow, Jermaine, thanks. I appreciate it. Damn, I have a fat AQ on. That's not really my. I have a fat AQ on. That's not really my Rex. That's not really my I always consult some of my cats that I look up to as mentors when it comes to that type of stuff. Yeah, Jacob Collier stuff. Yeah, Jacob Collier is he's pretty dope. Yeah, Jacob Collier is definitely cool. But in terms of the preamp situation, there are a lot of videos on YouTube that talk about it, but that's not my thing in terms of being that techie guy. Like I said, I got cats that I kind of talk to, or either talk to my bass builder if I want to change something, or if I'm looking for a particular thing, I go to the pros that do that. That's not necessarily my expertise right now. I might get into it a little later and learn a little bit more about it, but as for now, I just kind of get advice on that. But yeah, suggestions wise, the Bartolini makes great great preamps as well. I heard about Aguilar, but I use Bartolinis with my stuff, so I can vouch for that stuff. And with my Warrior stuff, we have custom preamps in that stuff built by JD, the Luther, for Warrior. So yeah, those are the things that I use. Also, guys, my coaching calls. I'm doing one-on-one calls. Some people have already started taking advantage of these. I started doing this on my website, JermaineMorgan.net. Go to coaching calls, see the different sessions, the different packages. If you're needing some advice, if you need some help, if you want to talk to me one-on-one, Skype call, face-to-face, and just kind of get some advice, get a little bit more personal. It don't have to be all about bass. It's not a bass lesson. It's more so talking and getting some nuggets, or getting some ideas, getting some direction, that kind of thing. I'd love to do that. I love to talk with you. Like I said, some of you have already started taking advantage of the calls, the Skype calls. I have you scheduled in, and I'm enjoying those with you guys. So if you haven't started taking advantage of those are something that you definitely want to do. It's a simple process. Once you sign up for it and we get your email, send your email, we schedule it and kind of find out some stuff. We set up the first call, and it's something that I think would be very, very beneficial to you, depending on where you are in your career, what you're trying to do. Basically, I'm sharing years of information that I've received, some things that have helped me on a professional tip, some things that have helped me to move forward, even as a man, as a husband, different things that I know people need, and a lot of people are not sharing this stuff. Some of us need mentors. Some of us need coaches. From some of the most pivotal points in my life that I've exceeded, and some of the things that I'm even able to share with you, was because I had people in my circle at the time that helped me, that gave me some advice, some things that I really need to help push me forward, that really saved me a lot of time, saved me a lot of trial and effort. So I encourage you guys to become a part of that. If you're not part of the monthly membership, you already know what to do. Go sign up today. If you're not part of my courses, you know what to do. If you haven't heard my music, you know what to do. Go to my website. A lot of the music is here on YouTube. You can stream it for free. If you guys haven't heard my latest album, it's by the Jermaine Morgan Band. If you type in Jermaine Morgan Music, you're not going to find it, probably. Not my latest album, but if you type in the Jermaine Morgan Band, you'll find my latest album, Dream Work Reality. So be sure to check that out, guys. If that's it, let me see. I missed a couple of comments here, but I'm about to jump off. Say it with your strings. Yep. What's up, Tut? Rex David, hit me up. I'm really knowledgeable about preamps. There you go, Steve. See what happened? See, you got people that's on here that can help you with that stuff. You know what I'm saying? That's another reason why we get here. You never know who you're in the room with. So anyway, guys, thank you for hanging out with me today. I'm going to get on with my day. Any other questions, any other things you have, y'all know what you can do. You can hit me up. And I appreciate you being here. Thank you. I am out of here. Yep, that's it, man. Thank you so much, Tut. I appreciate that. So yeah, and if you don't want to Google and want to get it all at one shot, you can go to my website, JermaineMorgan.net. Go to music. All the albums are there. You can see them there as well. Amazon, they're everywhere. So anyway, guys, thank y'all so much. And yeah, y'all connect. Rex, definitely connect with Steven. And we'll see you guys on next week. I will have a lesson up probably Saturday. I've been posting a lot on Saturdays lately. So if nothing happens, you'll see that lesson on Saturday. If not, maybe next week. But anyway, guys, thank y'all, man. It's my pleasure. No problem sharing with any other things you want to send to me, suggestions. Remember, send them to me, direct message them to me, and I'll talk to you guys soon. All right, I'm out. Peace.